welcome to the lobby, GameSpot's weekly video game chat show right here on videogames.com or twitch.tv/GameSpot or in your ear holes. If you're listening to this on the go, on your iTunes machine, your podcast streamer, your friggin' God knows what. You don't know that we have this sick boat in the background though if you're doing that, so maybe tune into the video version. Isn't that right, Eric Tay?
Yeah, man, that boat is sick. The SSGG.
Is that what you call it?
I call it that.
I've been calling it the SS Pikmin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because of the Pikmin captain. What would you call it? Casting vote Michael Mahardy.
The SS Sniz. I don't know.
What?
It's Rocket League lingo. We all know
Sniz.
it.
That's
Sniz.
his. That's his
Sniz.
lingo, man.
Snipe. Sniz top right corner. Goalie couldn't chew it.
So his problem is that he keeps calling this Rocket League like word terminology, but really this is just lacrosse bullshit, right?
Yeah, it's more just me making things up, I guess.
Did that? Speaking of lacrosse and video games,
yeah.
has that review gone up yet?
Rarely do those worlds collide, but yeah, it's up. 5 out of 10 for Casey Powell lacrosse. 16. Casey Powell. I'm sorry.
Who is Casey Powell? It's like Tiger
So,
Woods.
yeah.
We know who that is.
Casey-
Madden. Yeah, Casey Powell, famous.
3 brothers, Casey, Ryan, and Mikey Powell, who
Okay.
went to Syracuse University. They're really good players. So my alma mater. I'm an alum. I mixed that up. But yeah, no, it's the best lacrosse game ever made.
5 out of 10,
Yes,
good, huh?
The worst as well.
No, it's just there's not much to compare it to.
There has been other lacrosse games.
Oh yeah,
though, video games.
There's one that was crowdfunded by the Iroquois tribes up where I'm from, like Central New York. They kind of,
Jesus,
like,
I know nothing about lacrosse. The Iroquois tribe.
Iroquois, like
Is
it
this
was
Far
like
Cry
the 5,
Primal we're
the
talking
5
about?
tribes. The Confederacy was like they was using an example for like how
Like
to,
Native American tribes.
Yeah, Iroquois. So
Is
I was in
lacro- is-
Onondaga County. That there's like Onondaga tribe. Yeah.
Onondaga tribe. So, wait, is lacrosse Native American?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's-
so I
it's
I
like the
no
oldest
idea.
American sport. Yeah, they used to play it like over
I didn't know
miles
that.
of field to settle disputes and like weed out the men from the boys and stuff. Yeah.
Okay,
I feel like
It can be violent.
it's
he's
if
selling
I'm
me on something.
I know. If
What?
I'm surprised, it's because I've only ever seen like very tall white
Wasps.
men playing.
Oh
it.
yeah,
That's
you
all
wouldn't-
I've seen.
That's what's funny about it. But
There it is. What was it? What did you give the lead? What was it?
Oh, what's the lead?
Yeah.
Like what's the lead? The written lead in the story?
Yeah, what is
a
it?
serious lack of flow. Pete encouraged me to use lacrosse dialect.
Okay.
Dialect.
Oh man, I wish that became like an esport. You would be the best
Yeah.
commentator for that.
Oh, it'd be really fun.
Oh well, thank you so much, Mike, for coming on today's show.
Thanks for having me.
That wraps up our lacrosse coverage this week. So you were here for that. You can get right out. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about though. We're going to talk about Paragon in a second. Big conversations about the division since it's been out for a week.
Yep.
You two have been playing it for a week. I was out of the country, so I only got to play it for yesterday and the day before. Just want to catch up on that. GDC, of course, again, Developers Conference is on. Only 2 blocks from here in Moscone Center. The awards are on, the Choice Awards and the IGF Awards are on tomorrow, so we'll go through some of those nominations with Peter Brown, as well as talking about Pokken Tournament, which got 9 out of 10. Review up on GameSpot right now. But first of all, gentlemen, let's have a little chat about Paragon, which is a game that... Exactly. That little shrug you made, that's what I would say every time someone said Paragon to me. It sort of existed in that to coin Chris Waters, that melange of MOBA, Overwatch, Battleborn, Battlecry. It was all kind of in there together. But the closed alpha, it's still closed at the moment. So I think they're opening it up later in spring. We got access to it a couple of days ago. And I've been playing a lot of it, and I'm actually kind of super into it for somebody who's never really been into MOBAs, but who loves games like Unreal Tournament.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of ask you guys about this as well, because we've all kind of played it. I know you played a bit of it today, Eric.
Yeah.
Mike, how much have you played of Paragon?
I played a few hours, probably around 8 total. I did the preview event for it a couple weeks ago, and then I played a little bit once we had the access. And yeah, I like it. It's definitely like starts from like Epic's action roots,
Yeah.
like the third person action, like which they're known for. And yeah, it translates really well. It's definitely a MOBA, even more than like Battleborn has that one incursion mode, which
Yes.
we also have access to now, but we haven't been able to get any matches. But this is very much like a MOBA, but in third person
Yes.
and like very action focused.
It is one map. There are 3 lanes. There are towers that you knock down. There is a core you need to explode, and it's 5v5 as well. And it has some element of shop in it as well. In the card packs, it's got a jungle, which in this case is a forest, which you were saying has most of its textures have yet to grow.
Yeah, it says like alpha. It's in alpha. So don't worry about the mobs. You know, they're gonna look better probably. You know, they're just kind of shells of what you would fight in a jungle. But yeah, it as all intents and purposes is a traditional MOBA.
Yeah.
Except for third person, I guess.
So except for third person, and I guess also the thing that is different between this and most MOBA games is that most MOBA games isometrically, most of your targets are getting locked on. So you're like attacking people and then basically triggering attacks like you would in, the root of those games like Warcraft or games like Diablo or whatever. Whereas this game, you're basically shooting like you would in any other third-person shooter. So it feels like it bizarrely kind of feels like when you were playing third-person parts of Unreal Tournament, like the way it controls, like maybe you're in vehicles and stuff, it like feels super familiar that way, maybe in the modern ones. But yeah, apart from that, it's essentially MOBA. You're shooting creep and you're upgrading your person, and so it's this weird kind of, it's like, it feels super familiar the minute you start playing it, even though you probably never played something exactly like this before.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the skills kind of translate, it's kind of hard to expand on the world of MOBA and skills, right? So a lot of things are very familiar. I think I played Gideon. His ultimate is pretty much, if anyone's played Dota 2, it's kind of like, Enigma's black hole, right? Like it just sucks everything in, and it's supposed to be like something there for like what I like to say, the wombo combo, so that, your teammates can come in and like do other abilities and you chain off of that. So it's cool. I mean, the action's fine. I don't know if it was just Gideon for me that felt a little slow. I know that his shift mechanic let him kind of like speed up a little bit, but you don't use that in combat. That's kind of like your mechanic to kind of get back and forth a little bit faster outside of like teleporting to your base.
Yeah, it's weird. So you hold down shift to, well, there's nothing new about holding down shift to run, but you hold down shift to like engage travel mode. And I guess the sort of the negative part of that is that if you get caught, if somebody like catches you on the way in and hits you while you're in travel mode, you get stuck for like a couple of seconds, right? And they could just like pound on you for a while.
Yeah, because if you come out of it manually, it's pretty fast. If you actually I just started figuring out if I just activated one of I had a leap power. I like Mayhem. Which traditionally I don't really like tank characters, but for whatever reason, this kind of game I do. He has a leaping attack, and I would just press that, and it would immediately get me out of the travel mode and give me an extra like 30 feet. So it's kind of a good combo. But yeah, if someone else interrupts it, then you're kind of like screwed for 2 seconds or so.
And that's what's cool about this in terms of, because the MOBAs are games of inches, right? It's like how it's understanding the range of your opponent, understanding the range of your attacks, and how best you can do it. And what I've really enjoyed about this is that like the battles I've been having, like against melee people, or maybe I'm like dude with like 2 pistols, right? He's like shooting people. He's one of the good starter characters, and he has this sort of, one of his power ups that you can upgrade is like a leap, which can give you like 10 feet on the other person. And I've been playing these people who've been like using melee like swings at me and just barely missing me, and I'm like jumping out of the way like by it's like skimming me, and then every once in a while seeing the cooldown on this little leap attack, turning around, using it to get away, and then just like pounding on him.
Yeah,
it's like it's fun. It feels like, oh, that's what I see when I see people play like really good level Dota or LOL. But this is actually in a game that I would play. Like I like first person shooters and third person shooters.
That was kind of where I was headed next, I guess, because MOBAs are kind of a thing that they were on the rise, right? Yeah. And then they kind of plateaued a little bit because there's just 3 heavy hitters that you can't really get by, and then now Smite, probably the first one to be kind of successful in like a third person mode. So it's interesting to hear that you're actually more willing to play a game like Paragon, knowing that it's a MOBA because maybe it just has Unreal roots or something like that.
Yeah, like because I went back and like I never really played much Smite, and I went back over the past couple of days to like watch a bunch of Smite again to see, like, first of all, that game, like I think it only came out like 2 years ago. I think it was like April 2014. Well, maybe that was like the final version, but it just it looks super aged.
Yeah,
in a way that like the feedback. This game, first of all, looks good, but also the feedback you get on when you're hitting people is like you need that in games like this.
Yeah.
You need to be able to be like, okay, I see. Like in The Division, like you feel the numbers coming off them. You know when your attacks land, and you know when you get that like really good feedback from the game. And this game has that really well, which I enjoy about it. So I was like encouraged to go around and try different here. I don't know what they call them heroes or whatnot. And you can, and because of that feedback, via visually or audio or whatever it is, you also, like, for instance, looking at the gameplay here of the various other attacks during the game, you kind of pick up on what exactly all that stuff is doing really quickly. Whereas watching all the Smite footage, I was like, oh yeah, I get, like, if you put the time in, you figure it out. But like, it wasn't that immediate thing. And when you're talking about a game with all of these heroes and all of these different ways of playing, that stuff can get super intimidating. Like with Overwatch, like that's another game that sells it really well. This game doesn't have that many heroes though. It looks like 12 or 15 or something.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's going to be like more though, right? Like this is alpha. You know, you can always build. You can always have more, right? Like that's how you just get people to keep buying characters.
Yeah, nothing's stopping them.
During the preview event, I had asked, and Epic said they plan on doing a lot of post-release stuff, which suits the nature of these games well. And that's the thing. Like all these games, like you had said, that melange. It's kind of actually. I'm about as lukewarm as you can be when it comes to like Battleborn. Overwatch, I was having fun with everything, and then Paragon, and I wouldn't say I'm like extremely excited about any of them, but I am coming around to the idea and like coming around to the fact that these games all just kind of add that reflexive, like quick reaction thing to the overall strategy, which I like strategy and I like shooters. Those are both like two of my main backgrounds. Like I kind of just starting to realize the potential of combining those, especially like, when we can talk more about Battleborn. I'm looking forward to that. I can't speak to the overall quality of Battleborn, but it does do some like interesting things. And then Overwatch is doing its own thing. Paragon is doing its own thing. And I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing all the different, like, I don't know, permutations that can come out of combining these genres. I'm coming around to it really fast. I'm excited.
It's like the difference between Dota and LoL, right? If you're not in that like area and playing those games, like who cares? Like you wouldn't really give a shit. And I feel like these games, maybe it's just personal, but like I feel like me and a lot of other people, they were all just kind of, we didn't really know that much about them. We hadn't played them, and it's like, oh, they're all kind of doing the same thing. Whereas now they're completely different beasts. Like Overwatch, I love for loads of different reasons. Yeah. Like it feels more like Counter-Strike to me. Obviously, this is nothing like that game, even though I was pooling them in together. Yeah. And the same kind of thing. I think I don't know, expectation means a lot. My expectation of Paragon wasn't too high. It's like, it's free to play third-person MOBA thing. It's coming out this year. But I'd encourage people to play it. Yeah. Like I was like, I played a game which lasted 40 minutes and went straight in and played another one, and like that doesn't happen with me and MOBAs. So yeah, definitely recommend it. The PlayStation 4 PC is what the current alpha is in there. Right. They're doing some sort of paid alpha apparently.
Yeah, you can. So I was trying it last night. Right. I don't quote me on the date because I think that's right. I haven't slept very lot since, but I think it's $318 if you buy it. You get into the Founders Pack, and I think the cheapest one is $20. So I think you'll have access in like a couple days if you just at least spend the $20 or whatnot.
But what's that money go on? Like what is it? Because the game's free to play and it's out in the summertime.
I'm sure I didn't look at all the details. Yeah, but I'm sure it's like a card pack thing or maybe like a skin pack, because there are like you can see that there's like a drop down for like do you want to pick normal Gideon or your normal hero or like a variation of your hero. So I wouldn't be shocked if it's skin related or maybe a card pack thing. Something that hopefully doesn't alter the like gameplay, like not a pay to win thing, but a cosmetic thing.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I couldn't. Hopefully, they know that is not what you do with these games.
Yeah, the balance would just be trash if they did that right.
Yeah, totally. Do you have any previews up on the side about Paragon?
Yeah, there's one just about how like Epic's past with action games has influenced it. It was about a week or two ago. Some headline like that. I don't remember exactly. Cool. But yeah, I had a pretty positive experience with it.
Sweet. If you want to learn more about Paragon, go to GameSpot.com. Look up that thing that Mike just told you about. Google it. I don't know. Do the work. We haven't figured out a way of sending video links yet. So just do it yourself. And let us know if you're interested in Paragon. If you're not interested in Paragon, if you're going to check out the beta, PS4 or PC, let us know in the comments below. Very interesting thing is happening, gentlemen, right now on the Twitch chat, which is that also right now there is some news coming out of GDC about Sony's PlayStation VR.
Okay.
Previously known as the Morpheus. The problem is... So you can never tell if the chat is telling the truth or not. So there's all this shit flying around. I'm like looking at, you can see me probably all the time, just like checking in the corner. Just being like, yeah. And someone's like saying, oh yeah, $399. Yeah, and it's coming out.
Can we just check the Twitter?
16th of October.
Well, yeah, we were waiting for something, right?
Yeah,
especially today.
Apparently today. Apparently sometime, I think they're having a press conference down the road. Like they're not live streaming it, I don't think. I think it's just like they're having it and then the embargo drops and then we'll know stuff. When do we know the price?
October 2016 is $400.
Yep, $399.
Mary Kish.
Yep, I just got it on the Twitters, but thank you, Mary.
Thank you very much. Voice of God, Mary Kish, $400. And what was it? October 2016? Jeez. All right.
October.
Cool.
Called it.
Sweet.
$400. I mean,
called it.
I thought Good Money was on 400.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew
Not
it.
bad.
I knew it. They had to go lower to try to compete. That's how I felt, at least. I don't
October,
know.
baby, right ready for Christmas. That's like
Yeah.
Although
right in there.
Big.
it would be what, like 7 though, huh? Because you have to count the console if you don't own the console.
Man, if you
But
don't
if
own a
you-
console, buy a
And you're-
fucking Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
No,
Like-
Vive.
Or Vive.
We're
sorry,
all
Vive,
about
yeah.
the Vive now, right?
I don't
At
know
least
where I
right
land
now.
on those yet. Because we had the Vive
gear.
in this room. We're getting our... Don't talk to me about the gear. The gear's okay. I don't want to buy a Samsung phone. Like, don't
By the S7,
That's
you'll get a
probably gonna be
free.
like 700
You'll get a
bucks
free
too.
one.
All right, so, okay. Who here owns a PlayStation 4? All three of us? Okay. $400. Eric Tay, will you buy a PlayStation VR?
No, not at least not right away. I think with this kind of technology, I'm going to do the wait and see approach,
Right.
And kind of gauge, which one I like the best, what has the best application software, games, whatnot, and luckily, fortunately for us, we do have ways to try that stuff out. So
Yes.
that will give me an advantage of like, okay, I want to do that, or I don't want to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know. What about you, Mike?
If you'd asked me 6 months ago, I would have said probably not.
Yeah.
It took me forever to get on the VR train, but then since then, I've gone to a bunch of events. I played a bunch of games. And like,
Choo choo.
full on 400 sounds fine. I'll do it. Yeah, I'm excited.
I feel like it's been a while since I bought a PS4, so it doesn't feel like it's that much of a...
Yeah.
You know, it was like a couple of years ago, so it's not too crazy. One of the things I'm really happy about what's happening, and you notice a lot at something like GDC, is that like making VR games is super dangerous because the install base of any one of these is really low, but everyone's spreading the risk. It seems like everything that's coming out on PlayStation VR is also coming out on Oculus, is also coming out on Vive. And obviously some stuff isn't, but like you can kind of bet on most of the stuff coming out. So that's kind of exciting because that means that stuff's been coming out for Oculus already, like last year with people with the headsets. Loads of stuff's going to come out for that this year. The pre-orders for the Vive, that means that'll be in people's hands way before this comes out as well, which means by the time PlayStation VR hits store shelves or wherever they're going to sell this, hopefully there will be actually quite a lot of software available for it at launch, and it won't just be this like horrible Kinect situation, where there's like 3 things to use it for. I wonder if the 400 includes, like, I still have about 4 PlayStation Move controllers at home, but I wonder if they've thrown those
A
in.
bundle or something.
Yeah,
because the other ones have to have their brand new controllers. Like the
Yeah.
Vive, they have their own names, but obviously the circular ones that wrap around your hand with Oculus, and then the actual sticks with the Vive.
Yeah, there you go. There's the specs. Thanks so much, Mary. It's a OLED display, 5.7 inches, 1080, 120 megahertz. So is that split across both then, I wonder? Does that make it 60? Well, it's 60 anyway, I imagine. Field of view, approximately 100 degrees. Latency less than 18 milliseconds, I think that says. Controller, DualShock 4 and PlayStation Move.
Oh.
So
Doesn't say if it comes with it, though.
no, it doesn't.
Well,
Andrew,
Oculus,
Andrew House there, standing in front of a big screen.
Oculus doesn't come with the controllers. The Vive does.
It does not. Vive does for
So,
800. Oculus
yeah.
doesn't for 600.
Yeah, it comes with an Xbox One controller.
Comes with an
something
Xbox
like
One pad for some
Reason.
God-known forsaken. Yeah, who knows? Wired Xbox One pad as well.
that. I think.
I
so.
think. Yeah. So there you go. I wonder how many. I wonder what the final version has for USB. We'll have plenty of stuff up on GameSpot anyway. Just I wonder how many USB ports that thing takes because the original. Because I think the PlayStation VR has a breakout box on it.
Oh, okay.
So
Like
which
the
then
Vive.
everything's plugged into.
Vive has
Yes.
one too. Okay.
So I mean, that's down to the nitty gritty. But
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting. I wonder. $400. Like that seems any cheaper, and you're like, why am I buying this? Maybe is it just a piece of crap? Like 400 sounds like okay, it's going to cost a lot of money. Oh, here we go. Final contents of the pack does not include a PlayStation Move controller. It's got a breakout box. It's got the headset. Yeah, all right. That's all the information that's there. Last note on this, actually, because it's a bit of a tangent. How does that... I like how that it feels on my head. It's actually like lighter than the other ones. I haven't played it for so long, but I've had it on for like 30 minutes, I think, at one stage, and it felt good. Mike, what do you think about PlayStation VR?
PlayStation is comfortable. I think they're all pretty comfortable relatively. I think the one that I have had the most trouble with, and again, it's not much, is the Oculus because it's just I think it does feel slightly heavier, but it's also just maybe I haven't been like gotten used to it as much. But yeah, PlayStation was comfortable I've spent the least amount of time with that one, but I remember coming away from PSX saying that felt really good.
Right, yeah, because we had it on quite a lot then as well.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Eric?
More or less the same. I didn't have it on for that long either. Only have tried like one game, I think, of PSX as well. So it was just fine. Felt fine. Didn't make me like oh my god, my head,
Yeah.
getting tight or something. It was fine.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go. that happened just now. All right. Let us know whether you'll buy it, I guess. $400. Does that feel like a decent price for you? If anyone's actually in the comments who has just bought a PlayStation like in the past 12 months, then how does this feel to you as well? And what games are you looking forward to on PlayStation for VR as well? Let us know in the comments below. All right, gentlemen, we've got another thing to get onto here very quickly. Shifting from the world of PlayStation to the world of Microsoft. They announced a couple of days ago that I guess what you would cross-platform multiplayer, I guess, is the best way to describe it. Xbox One games playing not only with Windows 10 games, which is not all that new in the world of video game multiplayer, but also opening the doors for Xbox games to play with PlayStation games. I was about Psyonix, about to say Psygnosis, wrong video game company. Psyonix have come out and said that this is great, that they're going to try and implement this into Rocket League, which is great because already that was a PlayStation 4 game that could play with the PC fan base and vice versa, and the Xbox One guys were sort of left on their own. Where do you think this comes from, Mike? I guess the reasoning behind Microsoft doing this, is this just another shaking off more, leftovers from the previous regime, or does this actually work for games like The Division, for instance, where there are people about to buy this game and maybe the install base is lower on the Xbox One and they don't want to discourage people from playing on that?
I think in terms of software sales, it's not going to hurt anyone. You have games like Titanfall where people are really liking it, or Evolve, which is, I think was a good game, but then the multiplayer base drops off really fast. So now, ideally you'll have 3 different platforms to just really bolster a multiplayer base. And I can only imagine it's going to help the developers making games, and it's going to help, the players never have a shortage, because multiplayer bases, I don't know if people realize, it's really hard to maintain. Not many games keep one for longer than a few weeks after launch, a huge one. And I can only imagine this will help. From a business standpoint, I think it's, I don't know, the actual how the numbers would shake out. I think it's a good move on Sony's part to Microsoft's part to invite Sony into this, because like you said, with games like Rocket League, it works really well. And if they could just figure it out how to do it across 3 different platforms in the best case scenario, I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I mean, it makes business sense, right? More than anything else.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's definitely going to open up more, just a bigger install base, as you said, right? So that more people can play with other people. It's the dream, right? I want to play with my friend in Destiny or something that plays on Xbox One that I can't do because we're on separate consoles and we don't want to re-level a character to play with each other, because that's just a huge waste of time.
How many times have you bought a game on a specific platform because of your mates? I feel like I do that all the time.
Yeah.
The Division was one I was like, I want to get it on PC, but everyone's playing it on PlayStation 4. And then I was like, I'll just buy it on PC, I guess. And Rocket League is another perfect example of this, where, the Xbox One version obviously has a bunch of cool cars that aren't on the other ones, and maybe Halo fans want to play that, but then they're like, well, maybe I'll just get it on PlayStation because all my buddies are playing on that, or PC.
And that seems like, to me, kind of the hardest part of this from a business perspective, in terms of, so there's a lot of this exclusivity now, right? Or 1 month early access to, content, right? How do you open this up for obviously it's not all the games right away. In a perfect world, yes, right? But how do you do something where, let's say The Division is getting Xbox One DLC first, right? How does the PlayStation people just they're not able to play with the Xbox One people in that content only then? Or the Destiny had guns that, on PS4 that Xbox One didn't have. So that guy's got a Hawk Moon and we don't even have that in our game.
I mean, I wonder, because then presumably the PlayStation 4 version of Rocket League would need to have the Warthog in it to display the Warthog. Because even if you can't buy it yourself, I can see the Batman car, even though I've not bought that DLC pack. But, because then you're into weird licensing issues where, okay, now Microsoft's going to license out the look of the Warthog on a Sony console, where that problem wasn't there before. So, I wonder. I mean, it's opened the door. Whether or not, people take advantage of it, we'll have to see. Master the Hero in the Twitch chat said, end of the console war. If anything, this shows that the console war is alive and well. Microsoft are bending the knee, right?
I think the console wars will go on definitely, indefinitely, as long as there are console specific games too, right? It's because from their perspective, it's I got PS4 and I have this game and you don't. That's why PS4 is superior, because it also looks better. Anyways, but you know what I mean?
The console war is alive because of you, Eric Tay.
I know. That's what I'm there.
Because of Bloodborne.
Yeah.
The console war is alive.
Oh yeah, I'll jump on that.
And
one.
because of Tomb Raider, just a little bit maybe.
Yeah, Forza, you know.
Andy Bauman's not here anymore. We don't have to talk about Forza.
Shout outs to my man Bao.
He's gonna crash through the wall and make us talk about Forza.
No, he's not allowed to talk about Forza either.
Yeah,
man. He works for Ubisoft.
He talks about the Division now.
No,
He's
no.
company man.
No, he talks about what's the Crew.
Oh,
That's the only
okay.
driving game Andy Bauman's allowed to
Loyalty
talk
shifted.
about.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
There you go, yeah. I guess cross-platform open. The last point on this, Sonic said, we're thrilled to confirm that Rocket League will be one of the first games to take advantage of this new capability by enabling cross-network play, is what they're calling it, between Xbox One and PC players with an open invitation for other networks to participate as well. Sorry, that was Sony who said that. An open invitation to Android and to iOS and to Sony as well, I guess. So there you go. Let us know if you're excited about this in the comments as well, in the Twitch chat. Do you have a situation? Is there like one game where you and your buddies play that you wish you had cross-platform play, cross-network play, that maybe this will open up? Let us know in the comments below. Gentlemen, it's time to talk about smallpox.
Oh God.
You ready?
That's so dark.
I had to ask you what the Division's disease was before we went live because I completely forgot.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I think it's smallpox.
They mentioned
It's some
it.
variation
Resembles it.
or like
Black
they made some weird disease. I'm pretty sure it's kind of what happened. They engineered something.
Yeah.
Is what happened, right?
Black
And-
Friday disease.
Yeah, sure.
Greed.
Probably some acronym for it. H1Z1 and
H1.
That's a video game.
That's a
I
real
know.
H1N1. And that's the bird flu, right?
Yes.
I had the
think
swine
so.
flu
swine
before.
flu. Oh, bird. I don't know. I get my flus mixed
Yes,
up all the
bird
time.
flu is the one that'll like murder you.
Yeah.
I had swine flu. It's not that bad.
Just a
Doable.
really bad flu, right?
Yeah, it's not even. Yeah, it was more like head. I felt like I was off my face for about 2 days,
Oh.
but I wasn't like getting sick or anything. It was just like, woo, 2 days off work. It was great. I called up NHS Direct, which is like the UK's like when you're sick you call them thing, and they were like, stay at home. I was like, what? Like, should I go to the hospital? And they're like, no, don't go to the hospital because you'll infect everyone there. Stay at home. If it gets really bad, let us know. We're like, all right. So I sat at home, played video games for 24 hours.
Mark your house and like, all right, there's a guy in that house that has. If anything happens, we know it's because of that guy.
Yeah, exactly. You just draw like a pig snout on your front door, and then you're done. Anyway, let's talk about The Division.
Sweet.
Came out last week.
Yep.
I wasn't here.
Nope.
Y'all made a bunch of videos about it. Great job.
Thanks.
That game looks okay.
Yeah, depending on which version you're, it's actually pretty amazing if you've looked at the 3 versions. Like Xbox One is probably easily by far the worst. And
Let's
then
not get down that rabbit hole.
know.
I can
Just
see the YouTube
prolonging
thumbs
this.
downs just coming in already.
All right.
So I want to talk to you about a bunch of stuff. Obviously, we talked about it for a lot last week, but there's 2 kind of things I want to talk about. We'll talk about the PvP stuff in a little bit.
Sure.
But first of all, I want to float this idea where we have a bunch of people who work here in the office who have been playing Destiny for ever since it came out. Every expansion pack we go back in and we sort of talk about it, and we've posed a lot of like, is X game better than Destiny stuff all the time.
Sure.
And it gets really trite and whatnot, but I genuinely want to ask a question about if the Division has sort of like, in its launch and in the type of gameplay it has, if it's like learned from sort of some of Destiny's shortcomings, because this is a game that I've been playing only for about 2 days. I wasn't really into the alpha very much, but I'm really enjoying this game. The game, I think maybe the difficulty balance for the alpha was set a little bit too easy or something, and I wasn't finding it challenging. But for whatever reason, I'm really enjoying this game solo in a way I never played Destiny. So I want to pose this to you guys. You play a lot of Destiny, right?
Yeah.
Back in, and I know, Eric, you obviously play
Yeah.
a lot of Destiny as well. So have you had this experience at all that like you're enjoying this game more or less, or it's providing you more of a, I don't know, an interesting palette of world to play in, and does that even matter to you?
So if we're gonna compare it to like Destiny and my experience, like vice versa or whatever, once you hit the end game, it's very different from early, right? Early to middle, because I was playing early to middle with Rob and or solo, and it was fun because you're doing story, you're doing campaign, and that stuff's better than what launch Destiny was. But when you hit end game and you start having to, grind out the dark zone or do really hard missions that you can't do solo, I really miss like all my Destiny friends. I'm playing on
really?
Xbox One right now. I don't know as many people on Xbox One. I did that because I know that the DLC is coming out sooner, and so it'll be better for content for us. And I don't want to level again on PS4. So that crossplay stuff might actually be good. However, just getting to the end game, I'm just like, man, this sucks playing solo. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's more motivating when you're playing with a group even if it's not your friends necessarily, to, you communicate. You're like, okay, it's such a huge thing because that's what the skills are for. Like, I'm going to use my ultimate now, or like, I'm going to put pulse up, or all right, let's use the marker in 5. It's going to count down 5 seconds. All right, we're going to hit that target all at the same time. Like, there's that communication. When you're playing kind of by yourself, it's like, And the matchmaking, albeit it's good because you can matchmake with other people, but you don't get that same camaraderie. You don't get the communication, and then it just like falls apart. And for me, that experience, at least end game, isn't as fun, I guess. But then again, I had a group in Destiny, so who knows? I might not have. If I was playing by myself in Destiny, who knows? I might have fell off too.
That's literally the reason why I stopped playing it, was because I just didn't find it fun as a single player game. And I've not played that much of the Division. I've heard that it gets more challenging and that you really want to squad up later on. But from what I've been playing so far, I've been like doing hard missions and really enjoying it. Let's speak a little bit about the world, because I feel like that's another aspect that I wasn't so much into with Destiny, that obviously the story got stripped out of it. We realized, 6 months later that it had been completely pulled out, and they basically like rejigged the game together, and that's why it felt so, uncohesive or whatever. The Division, the story, you can sort of take or leave, I feel, but like the world itself, the detail in the world they've built, all those little like flashback things you can sort of dive into. It feels like there's a lot there to explore. Have you been enjoying that at all, Mike?
Yeah, that's the main draw for me there. Maybe it's just because, Destiny's sci-fi, it's not something I can relate to immediately, but like I know like Pete and Alexa are both from around New York as well.
Right.
And I was playing with Jake and Justin last weekend, and I pulled up the map and I was like, where are we right now? I was like, oh, we're on like 34th and 9th. I was like, I lived like 3 blocks from here. Obviously, it's not a 1-to-1 scale, and it's not going to look the same, but it was still really cool because it did feel like New York. And then you go through the village, and the Christmas lights are still up.
Right.
And there are all these like little stories you see in the world that there's not a lot of exposition with those ones, but it's still there for you to find if you're looking for it. And that goes a long way to help me in most games. Like The Witcher does a great job of it. The Elder Scrolls games do a good job of that. But that's what's really pushing me forward here. And I really, really I love how the tone of it, and just how it feels like really lonely, the city at the same time, but at the same time you're playing with other people, and you're kind of just going through these alleyways, like, again, not necessarily that the same as what I've experienced, but it's a really alluring on just that like environmental, like tonal sense, and I'm really enjoying that aspect for sure.
Yeah, I've done a lot of like wandering off the beaten path recently, where I just said, I just pick a part on the map and kind of go over there and see what I run into. And I mean, most of the side quests, they're pretty repetitive. It's a lot of like
they're all the same.
Yeah, hostages
Similar,
and whatnot.
yeah.
But there's still something about it. I don't know, just like wandering around and seeing like life just kind of happening that you wouldn't have noticed. You might not have ever seen. You might not have ever gone over there. That I'm really enjoying. Again, maybe I just haven't played enough of it.
You're not getting tired of this whole snowy, the same though?
You getting sick of the snow?
It's just this, like, all the, like, yeah, some of the buildings are different, but just in terms of, like, running around the world, everything kind of looks similar other than the day-night cycle, which kind of, like, tricks you a little bit in terms of, like, what you see. But, I don't know, I'm kind of over the Division world as it is.
What do you think about the upgrade loop that they've put in? Because in a way, well, I guess it's not similar in that way to Destiny, but Destiny had its sort of hub little area that you go back to a lot. Obviously, in the Division, takes place as also your upgrade tree, I guess. How have you been enjoying that aspect of like upgrading the various? Is that basically the crux of the game as you're playing? Is like upgrading your base and clearing out all those missions? I
mean, upgrading the base is definitely important in the long run because unlocking certain buildings will give you a lot of good talents, a lot of good perks, especially the $1,000 one, because that one gives you your ultimate skill, which is like really clutch. It's cool to see how the headquarters changes as well when you kind of upgrade it all the way. I wouldn't say it's what the end game is. That's just part of the end game. The real end game is just min-maxing your gear, and that's really it. It's like a loot chase, really. It's more almost like Diablo than anything else. Like there's so many kind of similar mechanics. Like you're just farming for loot. You're trying to upgrade your loot. You're trying to craft your loot.
Like you're trying to you're rolling the dice for loot in that sort of WoW raidy kind of way. Yeah,
but like Destiny, like you had the raid, right? And the raid was kind of like the end game thing that you did to try to acquire that loot. There's no in the Division, there like you still do Dark Zone and you kind of get that stuff, but there isn't like really that tier of gameplay yet that you do that you're like, okay, this is the thing I am striving and getting all my gear for to then do something harder to get the best gear in the game. Right now, it's just you're trying to make the best gear in the game almost, or hope that it drops, which is like weird.
Don't you get someone later in the Division that kind of functions like Gadala the Enchantress in Diablo?
Yeah, so you get a recalibrating station in the headquarters after you upgrade a tech wing, and that lets you kind of roll stats on your gear to like really min-max cater to the build you're gonna make. You can make like a full support build and have like nothing but electronics, or you can try to go super tanky and go all stamina, and that.
Is that a super late game, or when is that kind of kick in?
You can get that earlier. It's just like kind of not worth it till like later parts of the game, because you don't really need to min max as much until later in the game. Like I feel, at least, I would say spend more time playing the game than doing that stuff, because you're gonna replace that stuff. You know what I mean? It's there for when you hit or get close to 30, and you're like, okay, this backpack's really good, but this stat really sucks. But I could change that one thing, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna change that one thing. So that's kind of those are the RPG-ish type mechanics, and I find that cool. That's like the coolest thing for me. But to do all that stuff, you need to have like credits and materials, and that's the stuff you have to grind.
Way
you
down.
know.
Dvork67 says Greenwich isn't in the game, Mike.
Oh, it's not?
Apparently.
That's not where the Christmas lights are.
All right. But there's Christmas lights somewhere else. There you go.
Yeah.
Game Delay says, I'm loving the story. NPCs, both main friendlies and major enemies, seem like real people. This is the weirdest thing about this game, is that they kind of do seem like real people. And I feel like this like government asshole who's literally murdering people for looting. It's like the weird... Like, I'm kind of like... I think I was more critical of that when I played the alpha, and I was like, this game's not as realistic. I was like, I would hope when I see the words Tom goddamn Clancy put on a game, like as somebody who loves like Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon and even Advanced Warfighter, like had an element of realism. But now I don't really care. But it is funny that Aaron was making a good point. You find somebody who's like looting a dead body, right? So you didn't even see them kill that person.
Yeah.
And you go up there and you fucking ice them, and then you loot their bodies. There's no morality in this situation.
They're rioters, okay, Danny?
Rioters.
Division agents need to
form of
clear
protest.
these people out. They're bad people. These cleaners, these rioters, these Rikers, we got to get rid of them. They got good loot.
Hey, look, the Rikers are like ex-cons, right? And
Yeah,
then
that's true.
And then there's dudes who are going around with fucking flamethrowers. Like, they need to go. But just like poor people in hoodies, I keep murdering what I think are just lower class New Yorkers. Like, that's what this game, like the...
Cleaning out the Lower East Side.
Basically, yeah. Which, you know,
Which isn't in the
Hey,
game.
man.
video games.
They see you, they point the gun. What are you going to do? You're going to let them shoot you? No, right?
Well, also another weird disconnect is when you rescue hostages, you unlock the door and you go in.
Yeah.
And then you find like 3 shotguns in the room. You're like, are you really hostages at that point? You couldn't organize some sort of coup.
Or when you give energy bar or a soda to a civilian in need, and they're like, "Oh, here, have a pistol." Like, so you didn't need this pistol to survive this post-apocalyptic world. You just needed a soda. Oh, okay.
My favorite part is they don't even give it to you. They just drop it on the ground. They're
Yeah.
like, there you go.
You got to pick that up.
Yeah, pick that up as a pistol. It's crazy. So it's the only difference between civilians and the bad guys in this game is that they have their hoods down. Because everyone's got at least like a parka on.
Well, the cleaners have like masks and stuff, right? And
Not the cleaner, just the regular Gen Pop 99% hoodlums.
Yeah, I guess that's
regular
true.
people.
They have some type of headgear.
Yeah,
That's fair.
So it's just some kid in a Slipknot hoodie. He's just gonna get iced because it's cold out, and he's like,
Oh, jeez.
smallpox, motherfucker. Video games are great.
I
gotta
think I'd
rise
rather
up,
get
man.
shot than have smallpox.
Right?
Do you know what smallpox? No, I won't get into
That's
it. It's
just-
gross.
Yeah,
I don't
don't
wanna-
tell me what smallpox do.
You want to? Okay, so we were talking in some sort of history class way back in the day,
Okay.
and my teacher was like, "There's
Disease
a reason
history
the world
class?
banded together to get rid of this." And then apparently it would just, if you were lying in a bed, your skin would become so covered in like pus and boils that it would like mesh with the sheets. So when you roll over, it'll just like tear off. So that's why smallpox was such a huge deal. Like, you did not want it.
So don't go out on Black Friday.
Don't.
That's what we're saying.
Stay away from New York.
Just err on the side of caution.
Thanks-
Who knows? Ubisoft
Sorry.
might
Thanks
do
for
some viral marketing campaign,
Jesus.
which might go wrong next year. Some
throw
division
up.
expansion.
Oh my goodness.
Moving on, I want to talk about another aspect of the division, the PvP. Right. So
Okay.
I did a little bit of Dark Zone stuff in the closed beta. I haven't done any yet since I've been playing solo on my own. Obviously, that's kind of all that's left after you've finished the main campaign. Apparently, it's like super imbalanced at the moment.
It's not so much that the fighting is imbalanced, and some would argue that you can argue that the Dark Zone is a PvP area. It's like you don't have to, but you can. But what it really is that going rogue is supposed to, like, for most people that want to go rogue is a very fun thing to do.
So going rogue is that like if
when you shoot another like non-hostile agent is
Okay.
what
So a
they're
human
classified.
person,
Yes,
basically.
exactly. And you're like, you want to either take the risk of killing him because he has loot, and you're like, I hope he has good loot, or he's just a jerk face because he killed your boss
Or
guy.
she could be a jerk face
Yeah,
too.
he or she is a jerk face. But you go rogue, it's like you lose so much experience when you die as a rogue that it could be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour plus of work that you just did that
right.
it's so not worth it to go rogue that just don't go rogue because
the risk reward is just totally skewed
yeah, and
the
so
wrong
that
way.
and that essentially just kills the whatever PvP element there is because most people are like, well, I'm not going to do that because I just lost all this time doing it. And on top of that, there's people that are starting to play like games and shenanigans where they try to get you to go rogue. So I'll tell you this
Baiting?
story last week. I'm soloing the Dark Zone, grinding my levels, and I happen to run into 3 other players that are clearly grouped up. And we're kind of clearing out an outpost, or I start shooting at like an area, and I just see one guy. He's just kind of like serpentining right next to me, near me. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Right? And then I'm starting to think, oh, you know what he's trying to do? I'm pretty sure he's trying to run in the line of my fire and get me to go rogue. And
he
so,
has 2 friends with him.
yeah. And so I'm like, all right, that's not happening. And I run away, and they chase me around for like 5 minutes. I'm running circles, and I'm literally looping, and they're just bullying me. And I was like, this is the worst feeling ever. But at the same time, like a day later, it actually happened where I
really?
was shooting, and then
somebody just jumped in front
jumped
of your
in front of me on purpose.
Sucks.
On purpose. I go rogue. They murk me, and I lose 30,000 experience, which is like one level when you're in the 40 plus range. And that one level soloing probably took me an hour to an hour and a half. So I lost an hour to an hour and a half. I didn't even care about losing the money, any loot. I cared more about the experience because you need to try to hit level 50 Dark Zone, like as another another requisite in the game, end game, to buy other stuff. And so I was trying really hard to get there, and these jerks did it to me
Great.
twice in one
You're
day.
not the only person. Limac in the Twitch chat you would have seen on screen there as well. Very similar story. Somebody walked into your line of fire intentionally to make you go rogue so they can kill you. That really sucks. That's kind of ingenious as well.
Yeah, how like from Ubisoft's standpoint, how would you even like nerf that?
I mean, they changed so much of the Dark Zone during the alpha, right? Like during the beta. I remember they changed the frequency by which you saw NPCs went up, the difficulty went up.
They're still doing stuff now.
So they're still tweaking this again. Yeah, so I guess they're just gonna. But you're right. Like, how do you stop people doing the exploit? Like, do you have to shoot them
shooting.
more than one? No, like I don't know.
Well, there are what some
Like,
people
not make it worth their while.
Yeah,
I guess, or something.
I don't know what some people are doing though. Instead, that the people that actually enjoy going rogue and want to have fun going rogue is they're like, okay, I'm gonna set my main character aside and make an alternate character.
You're kidding.
And then I'll use my alternate Smurf character to rogue and PvP people because I don't care. Like I'm not afraid to lose anything. But anyone that's trying to play endgame or like high end content and wants to farm and stuff like that, they will not like ever. It's just a waste of time.
So are you done in Dark Zone until they fix this, or are you still?
No, I mean you still do the Dark Zone because
No, but you personally.
No, because I still have to go in there to get gear, to get some materials to craft other stuff, and like I said, for the most part, since most people don't go rogue, you're basically running around friendly like the whole time. Everyone is just hive mind of like, oh, we're just grinding, we're PvEing together, like whatever. I'm not gonna go rogue on you. Like most people, I would say right now, 70 to 80% of the population, if not more, are just grinding it like you would a normal MMO, like not trying to kill each other.
Okay.
And then there's like 10-15% jerk guys that want to mess with you or something like that. And
That's a good ratio. That's not too bad.
it should be higher though. It should
Yeah,
you
you're
should
right,
be
you're
able
right,
to
you're
like that was the kind of cool part of what people thought the Dark Zone was going to be is
And
that
that's
you
what
can have
was
these
cool in the beta.
skirmishes. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun doing that. And people did, but then once they realized how much that they were losing, they're like, "Whoa, look, I'm good. Like I'm not doing that again cuz
Crazy.
that's too much time wasted right
It's like
there."
an interesting social engineering class there. It's like you make it just not worth people's while for people to do illegal activity, and they won't do it. That's the PvP in The Division. Review up on GameSpot right now. It's 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
They got it on the site. Available on a bunch of platforms, except the Wii U. Sorry, it's probably coming.
Probably for the best.
It's not coming.
No.
You got Wii U play. How's your Uplay experience going on this game? Have you unlocked all the Uplay points?
I have unlocked a lot, I think.
What
and
level
I've-
is your Uplay man, bloke, character,
I don't know.
person?
So okay. So the funniest thing is going into playing the Division, right?
Yeah.
Rob and Aaron had played, like Far Cry or Rainbow
Yeah.
Six Siege. So they had a bunch of Uplay points, and they're like, "Hey,
The
Eric."
crew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe the crew, and they're like, "Hey, Eric, you can take those bucks and unlock all these cool things before the Division comes out. You can get
really?
a free mod
Wallpapers?
skin. You can in-game stuff,
Ringtones?
try that.
You get this weird looking. I was rocking the sports bow or something. There's like this kind of varsity jacket hat.
It's like a fake Knicks thing or something.
Yeah.
Dolphins colored.
Yeah, exactly.
hat.
Someone called me like I was the dad from the 70s or 80s or whatever.
Okay.
Wearing my old
Ray
Miami. Yeah,
Because all that stuff
laces out.
Yeah, exactly.
Laces out.
I'm in Crazy Town.
Blair
Tickles the
Walsh
mayor.
wants it laces out. Okay. But yeah,
So there you go. Okay, I take it back. You came forward. After
I guess.
or came through after all these
Ace
years.
Ventura.
play to
Yeah.
get
Costume paid
stuff, I guess. I mean, as long as it doesn't really influence the game. I mean, there's only a couple of things that you can buy from that actually go like, oh, that's kind of like in-game currency. Let's not do too
Yeah.
much
Most
of that.
of the
Let's
stuff,
not get
like-
crazy. It's like med kits or cosmetics. So
Even most of a lot of the things you pick up, the clothes and whatnot, are just cosmetic as well. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. All right. Thank you both, gentlemen, for coming in and talking about Le Division, available on your video game platform of choice right now. Go check it out. All right, let's get Peter Brown here. He's probably been waiting outside for like 20 minutes. So sorry, Peter. Mike Mahardy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Later.
You're a beautiful man. Thank you with your Ace Ventura quotes. Take your cup of cha away. Peter Brown, how many
Petey.
Ace Ventura pet detective quotes did you bring with you today to class?
Why don't you cry about it, saddlebags?
Nice. That's very good.
Thank you.
That's very good.
What's up?
That movie's probably old, right?
Probably.
I'm trying to think how old that movie is. Let's look it up.
1995?
Okay, let's do it.
90s? Okay.
No Price is Right. Just closest
Oh,
to
man.
it.
Can I just do $1, Bob? Let's see. If I was 84.
Come on, quick.
97.
Okay. You going
95.
95? 94. We're old.
You won then. I just didn't think I was 10 when I watched that. That's right. I was 10.
I watched V for Vendetta on
Oh.
the flight back from Ireland. That movie came out in 2005.
Oof.
The movie is 11 years old.
That's a good movie, though.
It's an okay movie. It's actually a bit more hokier than I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's maybe not as great as I remember, but it's okay.
Didn't stand the test of time.
No, but it's actually closer to what Britain is in 2016. So maybe in the future it'll be more accurate. We'll have to find out. How you doing, Peter?
I'm good, man.
You did a
What's
great
up?
job here last week on hosting the Lobby.
I did a job.
You did.
I did
Great
a
job.
Yeah.
Great man.
It was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for coming on and doing it. We're not here to talk about last week. We're here to talk about the future of video games. And what better way to talk about the future of video games than giving games from the past awards? The Game Developer Conference Choice Awards are on this Wednesday night. They go hand in hand with the IGF Awards, the Independent Game Festival Awards, which will also be giving out a bunch of prizes to video game creators from video game creators for video refrigerators.
Refrigerators.
And I thought it'd be fun to go through a bunch of the nominees and tell them which ones they should give.
Okay.
How about that?
All right.
Give it a year. Either Fallout 4, The Witcher 3, Metal Gear Solid 5, Bloodborne, or Rocket League. That's very close to our last.
Ooh,
So close.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know what he's picking.
We're just going to have our debate here all over again.
Rocket League should be one.
I mean, I felt at odds with Rocket League being so high until I actually started sinking time into it.
Right.
And now I feel totally happy that we gave that number 2.
Yeah.
Totally deserved it. That said, I would still put Metal Gear above it.
Cool. Fair play. What about you, Tay?
I should have pushed harder for Bloodborne.
Oh,
Even
yeah?
though
What did
there
it
was
get,
no
Lars?
way. We got 4th. It got 4th.
Okay.
I felt like I could have pushed it past Rocket League. And then I could have pushed your Metal Gear to 2.
I don't know.
You know what's sad
But
is that
it was, yeah.
only myself and Matt Espinelli have actually finished Metal Gear in this office.
Right.
And everyone who talks to me about that game is so ill-equipped to actually have a conversation
Yeah.
about it. But I'm the same way when it comes to The Witcher.
Right,
I
yeah.
haven't finished Witcher 3, and it kills me. And
Last
I
year
wanna
was
go back.
a real son of a bitch for trying to complete those games because Fallout 4 was thrown in there as well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it was mental. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think they'll probably give it. I don't know. I feel like they might give it to The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Like I'd go for The Witcher 3, but I feel like I don't know because this is like a game designers
Yeah.
awards show.
different.
So,
It's so
what do
different.
they go for? But then maybe they give it to Kojima then because it's like
well, you want to imagine they're not doing it because of the cultural
Right.
events
Yeah, yeah.
surrounding it. But that game had a lot of crazy things put into it that worked really well. So
We'll find out, I guess. Let's jump into a couple more of these. Innovation Award. Her Story, Super Mario Maker, Undertale, Splatoon, The Beginner's Guide.
Ooh.
This is an interesting one for innovation because I feel like Undertale is an old game done differently. Mario Maker's a Mario game. Her Story, I remember hearing afterwards that they basically made a very similar game a couple of years
I've heard
earlier.
from a few different people, and I probably should look into this myself before claiming anything on the air. But the word is that Her Story, it came after a few other games. The same creator used very similar tricks within the narrative, so it might not be as innovative as everyone.
Perhaps not.
thinks.
Yeah, we should look into. Well,
Here we.
yeah, who knows? Hearsay.
that's nuts,
Splatoon, which is that's innovative in many ways, and The Beginner's Guide, which. Innovative. I'm not sure if innovative, interesting in loads of different ways. I'm not sure if I call it innovative necessarily, but there you go.
I would give it to Mario Maker.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's the first game that really made creation the number one thing, and then gameplay was number two. But even then, gameplay is still so great in that game. It's kind of hard to match, but creation and making communities out of it is something that hasn't really. Maybe in PC world that happens with things like Counter-Strike and Team Fortress, but Mario Maker, it opens the doors for really crazy things, and it is still going strong. And Nintendo is still adding things to it. I know that's not all innovation, but at the same way, they definitely found a thing that worked. They struck gold at that.
no one's ever done it before. There you go. Dead. Eat it. Best visual art: Ori and the Blind Forest, The Witcher 3, Star Wars Battlefront, Bloodborne, Splatoon.
I would give it to Bloodborne, personally.
It's got
Bloodborne or Ori?
yeah, or Ori.
Yeah.
Or
Ori
Ori.
was beautiful.
Ori's a great looking game. Yeah, very pretty. Bloodborne. Yeah. Battlefront, that game, the best part of that game is how it
Sound.
looks and sounds.
Yeah.
And it's also in audio, along with Ori and the Blind Forest. Everybody's gone to the Rapture, Metal Gear Solid 5, and Crypt of the Necrodancer. I love that that's in there. That's great. Any takers on that one?
I'm not going to go to bat for Metal Gear. There is one thing in that game that does with audio that I love so much. Is when you have quiet humming in your ear. Stop it. Sorry. The effect of having your partner hum in your ear and having this really subtle companionship that's sort of it becomes real and you don't even realize it. It's like the subconscious thing that you develop. And when it's not there, you're like, wait a minute, wait. Something's missing. What is that? And then you realize what had happened the whole time.
That's awesome. I guess the last one we'll look at here on the GDC Awards. Best Narrative: Her Story, The Witcher 3, Life is Strange, Undertale, The Beginner's Guide. Again.
Sounds to me like The Witcher.
Witcher for me as well, I think, probably.
Yeah.
But then I've not completed Life is Strange, so I can't really say. But there you go.
Congratulations to all the winners that we just named.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Let's hope they get them right at the awards show. Congratulations to all the nominees. But while we're here, let's have a look at the 2016 Independent Game Festival finalists. This is always very interesting because I remember for years you wouldn't know any of these games.
Yeah.
And then you kind of know a couple of them. And now I feel like I know most of them every year when they come out. Like the Seamus McNally Grand Prize is between Darkest Dungeon, Her Story, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, Mini Metro, Super Hot, and Undertale. All games that I've played a decent amount of.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What would you go for the Grand Prize?
That's tough because the games are so different.
Darkest Dungeon and Her Story.
Yeah. Well,
Bomb Defusal game and Mini Metro. Mini Metro's so good.
Is it?
That's the one where you're basically making it's like a London tube map is what it
Yeah.
looks like, or like a subway map, and you're basically just lining things up. And
Sounds great.
it's like a really basic version of Factorio. It's kind of what it feels like.
yeah.
All right.
It's really good fun.
Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is really interesting. The way it integrates just the physical with the virtual. That was the first one I wanted to say. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
I saw on Reddit as well that it sold 200,000 units.
I believe it.
Yeah, that's really incredible. Yeah, look at this. What a great game. Maybe it doesn't look too great looking at this thing right here. Absolutely exhilarating. For those on the podcast version, there are two gentlemen with beards sitting across from each other at a coffee table, one of which is reading a book. But yeah, it's super fun. It's on Oculus, but obviously you can just play it on a normal ass PC as well.
Yeah, and you think you can cooperate with people? I would be trying to do. They're like, so it looks like a horn. I'm like, what kind of horn? Well, I don't know. It's just a horn. It's it creates arguments when there shouldn't be because
Like a horn, like the instrument, or
but it instills really good tension and it's just really exciting.
it's fun to play with people who don't play games.
Yeah,
that
you
much
don't
as
need
well.
any sort of aptitude for gaming whatsoever.
It's super fun. Excellence in visual art. This is where we get into a little bit of obscure games. Armorello, Darkest Dungeon, Mini Metro, Oxenfree, Panoramical, and G-Nog. Don't know what G-Nog is.
Panoramical, I believe, is that very trippy looking game. And I wonder how much of that is orchestrated versus generated.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. Can we give can we give No Man's Sky some props for all the beautiful graphics when it's just made up by an algorithm?
It's all pastels.
No art. No artist behind it. Is it really art? Nuevo Award. This is actually. I'm not going to go into that
I
one.
love your pronunciations because they're so.
Nuovo is it? Sorry.
And it was Armello.
Armello. Amarillo.
Amarillo.
I just want to give shout outs to these games. Sybil.
I think it's Sibel.
Sybil.
Oh God, we suck at our jobs.
Fantastic Contraption. Her Story. Keep Talking. Nobody Explodes. Orchids to Dusk. Panoramical, Progress, and the Beginner's Guide. I believe that section sort of highlights games that are doing something new and interesting, mostly. So I think people should check out those games we just listed out just for the sake of like looking at what's out there, because that's one of the most interesting parts of this award. Yeah. And also, to that point, Best Student Game, Ape Out, Beglitched, Chambara, hopefully not only
Chambara. No.
Circuit Infinity, Orchids to Dusk, and Pitfall Planet, all games. Oh my God, what's happening here?
Hello.
There's a video game. There's Nina Freeman.
Okay. This
of
is
course.
Sybil, or
yes.
Sybil, as we.
That is Nina's game. I saw her outside the office, but 2 hours ago. And then Excellence in Design. Let's do this for the last one. Her Story, Infinite Factory, Keep Talking, No Explodes, Kingdom, Mini Metro, and Super Hot. I might go Keep Talking again.
Yeah.
Super hot.
Yeah.
There was a lot of the same games on all of those.
There is on both
Just
of
saying,
them.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone goes home a multi-award winner.
That's what happened with, what was it? We had 2 years ago, we were backstage and...
You had the name. I asked you this earlier.
I
It was the
know.
game you... Papers, Please.
God, yeah, Papers, Please.
Yeah.
You guys, Gamescom. You guys played a crap ton at Gamescom, right?
yeah.
Like, you got totally into it.
It's a great video game. Great video game. Anyway, so there you go. Congratulations to all the nominees for the GDC and IGF Awards. Best of luck tomorrow. And I hope what we said wins, because it'll make us feel good in our bellies. Let us know what you think should win in the comments below. We're almost done for today's show.
I just got here, man.
You did. We talked a whole bunch about the division before you came here.
Good, because I don't know anything.
Have you played any division? What have you been playing this week?
Shadow Complex Remastered.
Oh, cool.
That game is so much fun. I can't talk too much about it, even though it's been out forever. There's a review.
Wait, is that embargoed?
There's a review embargo.
Right.
Anyway, it's still a great game.
Have they changed much about it?
No, and that's actually one of the cool things about it.
It just looks better.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't even look that much better. It's just I can play it again. It's weird. I'm debating whether or not I even review it, because honestly, our old review written by Lark Anderson, who now works on our product and engineering team, he kind of captures exactly what it is, and that is a game with relentless pacing and great action.
There it is.
Look at this relentless pacing.
Look at all those
great action.
Those complex shadows. There's so many of them. Hunt all the complex shadows. Cool. All right. We'll look forward to that review hitting the site real soon. Another review that hit the site real soon. A wonderful game by the name of Pokken Tournament has just got a 9 out of 10 on GameSpot.com. Yeah. Did I pronounce that one right, Peter Brown?
Yes. You said that as though I chastise you.
Pokken? You've been poking me about my pronunciation.
Do I?
No, you don't.
You sit so far away. My arm, I can't.
That's true. I'm just transitioning back from Ireland mode as well, so I'm saying all my words wrong. 1, 2, 3. Pokken Tournament, 9 out of 10. Timur Hussein reviewed it.
Timur Hussein, it's first review for us.
Oh, really?
I know. It seems crazy because he's a really smart dude.
Yeah, and he's been around for a good while too. 9 out of 10. It's a fighting game.
It is a fighting game.
It is a 3D fighting game.
It is a 3D/2D fighting game.
Okay, so in the like Tekken and whatnot.
No,
it?
Tekken is 3D.
Okay.
So in the middle of a battle, if you do a certain amount of damage or you perform a certain move, it goes from this sort of 3D all-range mode to a 2D plane where Pokemon are fighting, sort of similar to Street Fighter, where you can move back and forth. Then you can break out of that again and go back to the field phase.
Yep.
So you've been playing a bunch of this as well. You obviously didn't review it for us. But
I have played a bunch. I'm not currently playing it anymore. There's a lot going on, but the game is really fun. When I sat down with it for the first time, I had sort of looked at it as one of those Naruto fighting games because it kind of just resembled it like on a really general, like broad level. But one, it's a little bit different because it has those two phases, but also as someone who's liked Pokemon over the years and it continues to kind of like it, but my appreciation's been waning maybe a little bit. This was like, okay, wow, I actually have control over Pokemon directly. And as Tor points out, like you're interacting with these Pokemon in real time, like against each other. It actually feels like you would imagine a Pokemon battle would be, because it's we like collecting Pokemon, and I guess fighting in them is kind of fun. But really, there's saying like Pikachu, do a lightning bolt. Like that's not that fun to actually just like do the lightning bolt as Pikachu, right? And then keep going and keep fighting and not waiting your turn. So that and many other reasons, the game's really good.
Are there still humans shouting orders at you?
No,
not anymore.
No.
So you're just doing YOLO. You're just like, whatever. I'm a Pokemon. I'm free.
Yeah.
You don't feed me puffins anymore.
Feed you puffins.
Is that what they were?
What? You know what a puffin is, right?
Yeah.
Like a miniature penguin?
Yeah, I'm just misinterpreting a very funny YouTube video from a couple of years back. He also mentioned in his review lots of like mode variety, which is somebody who bought Street Fighter V and has been a little bit frustrated by the amount of lack of mode variety. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that sounds interesting to me. So, is there loads of different ways to play this game, multiplayer and single player?
Is loads fair? I don't know if loads is fair. I mean, you've got
there's definitely some, and I know that the story or whatnot.
The Ferrum League is you sort of just like climb a ladder. It's like climbing a tower in Mortal Kombat, right? That kind of thing.
Is Shang Tsung at the top?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Goro?
No.
Is he not a Pokemon? He could be a Pokemon.
No, doesn't like what's his name?
or-
Machamp. Machamp looks like Goro. Man, he's got 4 arms. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there aren't that many modes, but there's at least the modes you would expect. Let's put it that way.
Ultra Jari says in the Twitch chat, how many Pokemons are there in Pokken?
16.
Gotta catch them all. It's a
Yeah.
lot easier.
17 if you get Mewtwo.
Shadow Mewtwo, and then that's like your core set, right? And then you still have your assist Pokemon as well. So
What's an assist Pokemon?
so
Like Jigglypuff?
Yeah, you sort of like there's a meter that recharges, and you can call them in, and they do an attack that either like will hurt the enemy or impair them in some way.
Like Jigglypuff?
Yeah.
Just put him asleep?
Well, Jigglypuff's not there, but sure.
Damn it!
there's also an annoying heal that Randy was using on me
Oh,
a
really?
lot.
What was that?
Well, one of the assists heals you, so he would gain his
really?
life back. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
He's like, you could have that too, Eric. I'm like, yeah, I could, but
One of the criticisms I have about Pokken is the roster selection, which like forget about how they look, like whatever, they all play fine. But when I'm looking at the list, it's like there's a Chandelier Pokemon as one of the main fighters. Like there are 721 Pokemon at this point. Surely there are ones better suited than a freaking Chandelier.
Wow.
man,
How did Chandelier never come up in all like the many what's the dumbest Pokemon segments we have done on the lobby over the
Because
past?
there are 721 Pokemon.
Right. There's Goro. There's Goro fighting right there.
Yeah.
That's Machamp.
hey man, Chandelier Pokemon. I don't know his name sadly,
None of
but
It's probably Chandelier or something.
like he needed a time. This was one of those times, He's gonna get a time to shine. Now you're gonna remember him for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So there you go.
They said that there's no plans for DLC right now, but
Really?
I'm calling BS on that because, I mean, what a gold mine this is going to be for them.
If ever there was a game ripe
Yeah.
for DLC. Oh, there you go. It's a Chandelier Pokemon.
Yeah,
For those of you
that's
on the
guy.
podcast, feel free to Google Chandelier Pokemon, and I'm sure this is the first one that'll pop up. It kind of looks like Vanille as well. Stroke the Chandelier Pokemon.
I will
Sorry, go
say the game's like super accessible.
Yeah.
Like anyone can play it and like have fun, but it seems like it can get pretty deep too because there's counterattacks, kind of like a focused attack in Street Fighter. It's gonna be at Evo, so there's that.
It's going to be
Yeah.
Evo like legit, or they're doing
Yeah.
it paid for Evo?
No, it's one of the.
Really?
Is it 10 games this year? I
It's
think
one of the
it's either
700
10 or
games
over
in
10
Evo.
games. There's not 700. There's like
It's like
it's
800.
double digit. It's like double digit, but it's gonna be there. Just
Cool.
you wait.
Yeah.
High level Pokken Tournament.
I mean,
play.
there is room for like if there's high level Smash play, I'd say it's fair to say that there could be high level Pokken play, right? It's just like the barrier to like perform a certain move is much easier than something like Street Fighter because it's just a direction and a button
Right.
or
Yeah.
two buttons.
Yeah, Timur said it was kind of easy, like a good sort of quick one to get into if people don't play fighting games,
Yeah.
perhaps. And love them Pokemons. Gotta love them all.
Gotta.
catch 'em.
Gotta buy the pillow case. Can you get Pikachu like pillows, like love pillows, sleeping pillows, like?
I know what you're talking
Waifu
about.
pillows.
Like a
Never
waifu
thought-
pillow?
Yeah, yeah.
Never thought to look that up
Can you not get
before.
that?
No.
Can you
Maybe.
get what was the
I'm
guy
sure
with
you
the,
can.
what was the Goro guy?
Machamp.
Machamp.
I
Did
think.
you get like a Machamp one? That'd be good. A Jigglypuff
With
would actually be
4
perfect.
arms.
With 4 arms. You
Could you
love
imagine?
Jigglypuff.
But Jigglypuff puts you asleep, so if you
I
could,
know.
you just hug it and then go.
So if there was like chloroform in there, you could just sort of like have it
Oh,
puff
it's
out.
perfect. And like a tiny speaker that the battery kind of slowly went on it. So it was like, that'd be really good. You can have that for free, Pokemon Company. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Someone's on it right now. Hey, we just heard a great idea.
The Glitcher 1705 said, "This is not directly related to Pokemon.
Okay.
But do you have any info of when HTC Vive will be on the GDC or Valve's The Lab game?"
What?
I had to ask.
I'd love to answer that
The
question.
Glitcher asked this question about 7,000 times in the chat. There you go.
Okay.
HTC Vive will be on GDC. The Lab. I don't know. Have you seen The Lab yet?
The lab.
I'm
Oh,
guessing
I
it's-
think that's a. It sounds familiar. I'm not sure what it is though. I'm so confused by the question.
Hassan has put in all the games that are Evo this year: Street Fighter 5, Super Mario Bros. You count them, all right? Street Fighter 5, Super Mario Bros.
Super Mario Bros.
No,
Super Mario
Smash.
Bros?
You mean Smash. Smash. Yeah, Super Mario coming to Evo where you fight Goombas.
Yeah.
Sorry,
right,
let's
let's
start
do
again. Street Fighter 5, Super Mario,
Nope.
Street Fighter 5, Super Smash Bros, Melee.
Yeah.
So Super Smash Bros.
There's two versions, yeah.
Super Smash Bros for Wii U.
Yeah, there's Melee and Wii U. So that's
Yeah,
two. So that's
two,
three.
yeah.
That's three total now.
Guilty Gear,
Exurd,
Exurd,
yeah.
Revelator,
Revelation or Revelator or whatever. Go
Mortal
ahead.
Kombat X,
Yep. Gonna give it to you.
Pokken Tournament,
Yep.
KI,
Yep.
Ultimate M versus Marvel vs. Capcom 3,
Yep. UMVC 3.
and Tekken 7. Fate of
Oh,
Retribution.
9.
9. It's almost double figures.
Where's that double digit?
What'll be the last one?
Mr. Wizard.
What'll be the last one
Mr.
you put in there? What?
Mr. Wizard.
Yeah, Mr. Wizard.
Is that a...
He
I
helps run.
remember
He
it.
helps run
It's a
Evo.
lacrosse tournament.
It was also
reference.
a show that I watched as a youth where this old man would give science projects to little kids. And
Mr. Wizard?
Yeah, and if they screwed up, he would he would talk shit to them on air.
Right.
Like, let me show you how to do it.
Just stupid kid.
There's great videos on YouTube of him getting angry at kids.
That was Mr. Wizard as well?
Mr. Wizard, yeah.
You know what could be tense, but they're definitely not going to do it. And people actually wanted it was Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Oh, right.
But they're not. They're definitely not doing that.
Just because Capcom would not want that.
No, you want to
all about
move to the next.
SF5
Yeah,
now,
you got to
man.
move to the next platform, man. You got to get pushed that.
Can we talk about the sales of Street Fighter 5 real quick?
Sure.
200,000 worldwide.
Oh, God.
They wanted 2 million by March.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Wow.
I was looking at the Steam... What's it called again?
I don't know.
The Steam stats thing. I was like, whatever
Sure.
it's called. It's like the one that like tracks all this. And the PC sales were not that great those first 2 weeks.
Dude, it's bad.
I'm surprised.
Super Street Fighter 4, an update to the existing game, sold more in its first few weeks
Wow,
than
really?
this new Street Fighter 5 did.
Man, you just don't want to launch a game broken anymore. Or launch a game
Well, it's
without
not
like...
that
It's weird. I wonder. I honestly think it was the climate surrounding the game, like when it came out. I just feel like people were still okay with Street Fighter 4.
4, really?
When 4 came out, we didn't have anything like it for years. And then 5 shows up, and it's sort of like, yeah, like superficially, right? From the outside looking in, it's like, I don't really know what I'm getting that's any different.
Yeah.
It just looks like, yeah, 3D Street Fighter in a 2D plane. Okay, I get it.
Well, also with Street Fighter 5, I remember a while back ago, they were like, oh, yeah, 5's not coming out for a while, like 2017. And then it was
Oh,
like,
really?
oh, surprise.
Boom.
No, it was right after they started, they did that merge with Sony, or they got that kind of like that deal with
that
Sony.
was- it was
that
announced
like the
with that
push,
deal.
right?
Yeah.
That was when they kind of made the push of like, oh, yeah, this is happening like
crazy.
a lot sooner than
When is the
you
big March
expected.
update coming for that?
By the end of the month.
Okay. Right. The end of March.
End of the month.
Yeah. Might be
Yeah.
the big April update. We'll see. Have
I'm
you seen
so concerned.
Have you seen how they're going to try and combat rage quitters?
Oh, by having people publicly shame them?
They're like recording them on a 1-by-1 basis. Yeah, they need people to like say when it happens. They're going to go back and review like the tape, and then like get rid of their like.
Yeah, what a way to make people
Currency.
feel comfortable sidling up to your game. You know, like, can you blame like a 13-year-old kid who like doesn't want to lose and signs off? It's not like we're all grown adults playing
Yeah.
this stuff and we need to be shamed. Like, that kid's gonna feel bad, and he's probably not gonna want to play anymore if Capcom publicly calls him out.
No, that's how you teach them a lesson, dude. That's how you
Yeah,
teach.
sure.
That's why you don't rage quit.
That's how your
kids.
parents
Yeah, you don't rage quit.
Fair.
You sit there and
You're
you
gonna put like photos of your kids on the fridge every time they rage quit a
well,
game.
think about it like
Smoke
this.
that whole pack now.
Let's use like an analogy, right? Like, do you hate?
Sorry,
Now they're showing Mr. Wizard.
the
I love
B-roll
this.
has suddenly shifted gears to
Oh,
Mr.
thank
Wizard.
goodness.
For the podcast listeners, this is a gentleman who seems to be cooking some sort of pink egg in front of a gormless child who
You
doesn't know the slightest thing about thermodynamics.
You really need the audio because kids say things and he's like, no.
You idiot.
If you listen to what I just said.
Man, Mr. Wizard was before
Oh my
the internet. He was before the internet, which was his time.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
like
this show was the best.
casting 10 on people.
I was gonna say though, like think about. I mean, I don't know if you would publicly shame them, but let's say you're playing a game of Rocket League, right? Like, let's say I'm down 4-1 with about 2.5 to 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
Andy Bauman was infamous for wanting to forfeit right away,
Yes.
which is essentially a rage quit, right?
Yeah.
Without closing your application. I'm like, no, we're not doing that yet. Even if he thinks that they're better than us,
But
right?
the other
Like,
team would get the points is the thing. Is that rage quitting, you don't win either, do you?
I don't
like
think.
done
Yeah, you just get nothing. It
Yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
like kicks you out of the lobby. But that's beside the point. It's the principle.
Yeah.
You don't
principle.
do that. That's why you gotta get shamed.
But should
All
a
right.
publisher / developer be calling people out? I don't know.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. All right, that's the show for this week. It's the longest lobby since we got back.
Really?
Hour and 12 minutes.
Sick.
Wow. Talking about video games. What's happening at GDC with you guys? First of all, Peter Brown.
I'm gonna go see Mizuguchi talk about
Cool.
Rez
Sweet.
because we all love Rez, right?
Did you bring that suit back?
So right now in Japan, they have this gigantic display called, it might even just be the Rez Infinite Experience.
Oh, I've seen
They're
this.
demoing it like to the public.
Yeah.
Which is just amazing. Like when this game came out on the Dreamcast in 2001, I think, like no one really knew much about it. Like I knew, my friends knew kind of, but here it is now. It's like Sony's like VR flagship experience for people who just want to get a taste, right?
And they're demoing it at like this like really like big glass window in some
Oh, yeah, it's-
hotel so you can see
it's
over
like 20
Tokyo.
screens.
as
Yeah,
you're doing
it's
it.
gigantic. It's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. And what do you do? You're helping me with all these.
Yeah, I'm helping you with these hot sessions.
Yeah.
And then also one of those days I'll be out, but Mary will be back there, and I'm going to I think see King's Quest. I think chapter 3, I believe, and then
Cool.
I think the new TMNT, which could be cool. You know.
Dude, Platinum.
Yeah.
They know
Oh,
how to
yeah,
get
of
games.
course.
Yeah, I liked Transformers. I mean, like it didn't last, but what I played of it and the nostalgia and all that stuff, which is probably what Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles is going to do for me too, is going to be awesome. I think.
Yeah.
Just
And actually,
that
at the
gameplay.
show, Inaba of Platinum is giving a talk about them sort of taking on these projects and giving Platinum games to like the mainstream audience, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
versus like all their really hyper focused like hardcore stuff.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Interesting. Hopefully it'll come out real good. And yeah, we have this is the lobby for this week. We have a bunch of sort of special lobbies lined up. We're calling them the GDC sessions. We're basically getting in developers, just going to chat to them like this for an hour or so. There's a couple of possibility ones. Actually, I'm going to check Twitter right now. I'm waiting for people keep shuffling around. So we got some big names that might be coming in there.
Yeah,
We're
don't
trying-
promise something. you
No, we're
can't.
trying to squeeze them in. The actual confirmed ones we definitely have. Marcin Nowinski from CD Projekt CD Projekt is coming in. Can't say CD Projekt in front of him to talk about, I guess, how they feel about The Witcher 3. Adam Saltzman's coming in. Matt Lees and Khalif Adams got to come in on Friday and talk about some interesting press aspects. I've also got the creator of Frog Fractions coming in.
Is he going to reveal?
Mr. Jim Crawford is going to come in. I don't think he's going to reveal Frog Fractions too. Where
Well,
it is.
then why is he even coming?
To talk about stuff, to talk about mystery. Actually, he had a really good GDC panel that a couple of years ago I went to about sort of retaining mystery in video games and how like difficult it is in the internet age. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. I mean, the ultimate way to keep mystery is to not tell anyone when your game's coming out.
Yeah.
Or what it even is, which is what he's doing because he's crazy. So that should be fun.
It may never even come out.
It may have come out already. Yeah. You
Right.
never know.
Or it will never.
Or it never comes out. Yeah. It's the ultimate Kickstarter campaign.
The ultimate long con. That's my long even put it.
Peter Brown, thank you so much for coming in.
Anytime.
Eric Tay, pleasure as ever.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks so much to Mary Kish in the back for directing the whole show. Dan Mahork, as ever, for keeping all the cables running. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pacific. As ever, the GDC lobby sessions will not be live, but they will be going up in full on GameSpot.com and YouTube.com/GameSpot, and they will also be in this audio feed as well. So you'll see a bunch more coming up on your iTunes, whatever your podcast platform is of choice over the next coming days. Thank you so much for hanging out. We will see you next week and during the week as we report on GDC. Talk to you later. Bye.